happening again. We're doing another frogging trip. We're heading south. This time we're going to Handn't National Park. So yes, I've come from Bundy, picked up Jono. We're still in Queensland. We'll keep you updated. We've made it to our frogging site. It's a bit nippy down here, 16 degrees, windy. We're on our way down to the beach. We might be in for a wet night tonight. See how we go. Hopefully it's warm enough for the frogs to be out.
After 12 hours of driving, it was good to stretch our legs as we used our remaining daylight to scout out some of the potential frog locations. It was very cold and windy, and the site hadn't had as much rain as we expected. This made us feel a little worried about what kind of frog activity would be out tonight. Down at the beach, we checked out the lagoons behind the sand dunes. This habitat is known to be a location for the green and gold bell frog, which we don't see very often, and we were hoping to see this frog tonight. We used the last few minutes of daylight to set up our tents before we went searching for our quarry. At this site, we were hoping to find the green and gold bell frogs, the robust bleeding tree frogs, the recently described coastal pobblebonk and Haswell's frog. We found plenty of frogs along the path. All of them were really common striped marsh frogs. Even down on the beach we found striped marsh frogs. Occasionally we'd spot a striped rocket frog. It was good to know the frogs are out, but we could have stayed in Queensland to see these species.
What do you got, Jono?
Finally, we found a big lagoon with water in it, and Jono was the first to spot our target frog, green and gold bell frog, Latoria aurea. As we were heading back towards the path we came in on, we spotted a little frog perched in the casuarina trees. On closer inspection, it turned out to be our second target for the night, the robust bleeding tree frog, Latoria dentata. This frog had recently been the subject of research which resulted in it being split into 3 separate species in 2021. So this was the first time both Jono and I had seen this frog. Persistent light rain had set in for the night as we made our way off the beach and into the forested areas, where we were quickly able to find our third target species for the night, the coastal pobblebonk, Limnodynastes superciliaris. We found quite a few scattered along the walking path. Like the bleeding tree frog, these have also been recently split from one species and placed into 3 different species. This publication was released just this year in 2024. As we continued to walk the trail, we began to hear a distant chorus of frogs, which we made our way towards. It led us down into a depression where we discovered a natural frog breeding pond. Tyler's tree frogs called intermittently from the vegetation and the water's edge. competition was fierce between the dusky toadlets as multiple males competed for a single female's attention. And it was here, in all the cacophony, that we found our fourth target for the night, Haswell's frog, Paracrinia haswelli. This little frog is the sole member of its entire genus, and this location was near the northern extent of its range. It was also here that we had a surprise find. Mixing in with the dusky toadlets, we found Marnie's toadlets, Euparolia marnii. This find contributes to a 200-kilometre northern range extension for this species. Not a frog we expected to find, but a welcome find nonetheless. It rained throughout the night, easing off for the morning when I got out of bed. I was just thinking about coffee when Jono spotted some more heavy rain on the radar imminently approaching. We scrambled around to pack up our gear. Before long, we hit the road again. But we didn't make it very far when we came across our first hurdle. Back on the road, we found a truck stop with showers before heading up to the majestic Ellenborough Falls. With all the rain, Ellenborough was in full flow. But enough sightseeing. We had frogs to find, and we continued our drive up to Bullock State Forest. We're in Bullock State Forest and we're going down. It's pretty wet here, but we're going down to check out the river. There could be a possible Davis Day site, and we're hoping we might hear some glorious spanking colas too. Just doing a bit of scouting. Down at the creek, we listened intently for sphagnum frogs, and even though Jono was able to hear one, it was cooling so irregularly that we weren't able to get a location of where it was. But we did also hear our target frog for the night, so we planned to meet up with a friend and come back down to the creek later that night. Once night fell, we were able to quickly locate multiple Davies tree frogs, Latoria davisii. These are a really stunning frog to see, especially the females. Associated with creeks over 400 meters altitude, they have a limited geographical range of only 150 kilometers. These reasons contribute to its conservation status being classified as vulnerable. With the rainfall getting heavier by the minute, we went and located some shelter, to which our surprise had barbecues. We cooked dinner waiting for the rain to stop, but we didn't find much else on this wet, cold night. After a poor night's sleep due to wet bedding, we were getting worried about our prospects for the long drive home. We re-evaluated our plan and made a last-minute change. We would head up to the New South Wales border in search of a recently described marsupial frog from Wollumben. Our drive started off pleasant enough, but it wasn't long before Jono spotted a big low pressure system coming in off the coast. It made landfall and most of our drive was done in torrential rain and wind. Some places were getting hundreds of mils. By the time we reached Mount Wollumben, the Tweed River had begun to flood, and the bridge to our site was quickly becoming impassable. Without wanting to take any unnecessary risks, we pulled up and did some more research and found another place on the mountain we could get to without having to cross the river. So with the rain still pouring down, we made our way around the caldera. We arrived at a lock gate and started walking into the national park to see if we could hear any marsupial frogs calling. We also decided to leave our camera equipment in the car due to the heavy rain. I just wore my thongs because my boots were so wet from the night before. Just meant I found this massive leech between my toes later that night. The weather conditions just weren't great for cooling frogs, and it was hard to hear over the falling rain, but there was plenty of life out and about on the trail. Eventually we decided to call it. The weather just wasn't in our favour tonight, and Jono had a friend that had generously invited us to stay the night and join in his bar mitzvah. Even though not very much went to plan on this trip, I still count it as a success, finding most of our targets and encountering 20 different species of frog.